Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be quite the departure from my last video in that we're going to be talking about grief, and I feel really compelled to make this video in light of everything that's happening, not only in the country but in the world. And this is as much a therapy session for me as it is maybe a source of comfort or consolation or community for you. I want to talk about what grief is and kind of my own experiences with it and what I think is happening amongst a lot of people right now, especially young people. So grief, of course, is the natural reaction to loss or horror or, just unpleasant things. You may have heard of the Kubler-Ross 5 stages of grief thing, denial, acceptance, bargaining. There's a couple other ones I don't remember. But anyway, you know what grief is. I mean, everybody in their adult life has experienced grief in one form of another. For me personally, 2024 was a really tough year. If any of you are into astrology, you may have heard of the concept of Saturn's return. And basically, it's a time where your life is supposed to fall apart. And boy, did that happen. That absolutely happened for me. I won't go into too much detail, but basically in the span of like a month, actually really in the span of 2 weeks, I was let go from a job that I thought was my dream job. And it was very unexpected, and I don't think it was right. And I have a lot of grief and anger from that. 2 weeks after that, I lost my cat. She got really sick, and basically I had to make the decision to say goodbye to her, which was really hard because she was my anchor in a lot of ways, and I was living, in a place that was still a little unfamiliar to me, and she was the one piece of home that I always had with me. And so saying goodbye to her was a horrible and incredibly difficult thing to experience right after losing my job. And while all this is happening, I'm dealing with health issues, which I deal with, on and off. I have a chronic illness. It is what it is. But in this time in particular, I started experiencing really severe vertigo that became so bad that I was essentially bedridden and couldn't be upright for more than 5 minutes at a time. Anyway, all this boo-hoo-hoo, right? All this stuff. And I'm not saying this to garner sympathy, but I'm saying this to sort of give you a perspective on my most recent point of personal grief. I'm sure many of you have experienced similar things, maybe worse things, and for that I am so sorry. It's not fun to go through these really difficult moments and have to continue living day to day while dealing with such grief. Which kind of brings me to my next point, which is I think a lot of us right now are experiencing collective grief. What I mean by this is we are seeing so many atrocities and horrors and just really unbelievable things day in and day out happening in the Midwest, happening in the Middle East, happening in Africa, happening globally. I mean, really, it's hard to go a day without hearing some really terrible and frustrating news. And I don't think enough of us are talking about sort of that collective grief and how to continue on with our day-to-day lives while holding on to this thing. But what do you do with said grief, I think the most important thing is to experience it. I am certainly guilty of not really sitting with my grief and that's not healthy. And not just in a mental way, but also in a physical way. I think people forget that, a lot of strong emotions can build up in the body and really affect you physically, not just mentally or spiritually. So yeah, feel your grief. Feel it. If you want to cry and scream and punch some pillows, do it. Because at this particular time, that is totally understandable. There is so much grief, there is so much anger, there is so much frustration in what is happening, and it can feel a little silly, especially as adults, to more or less throw a tantrum, and cry it all out. But I don't think there's any way to move forward other than experiencing those emotions and then coming back and saying, okay, now what? Now what do I do? How do I make action of these feelings? I also want to make sure that you all understand as well that grief is a beautiful thing. It's a terrible thing to experience, but it's a beautiful thing because grief at its very core is love, right? At its very, very essence, it is love, because you love something so much that you grieve the loss of it, right? And you care about something so much that you experience grief when other people don't share that same care. And so in this time where I think at this point in time where apathy seems very enticing because it's easier, and it's easier in the short term, experiencing grief and really sitting in it is so incredibly powerful. Now, that's not comforting. That is not at all comforting because, again, it's a really ugly thing to experience and it's not a fun thing to experience. So, what I would like to offer you, whomever is watching, is maybe some things to soothe whatever grief you might be experiencing in this moment. Now, if you're not Christian, if you're not spiritual, whatever, don't take this as anything more as me just wanting to give you some good vibes and some good luck in this time where we really need it. So I'm going to start by sharing some passages from this old thing. And then I have recently been reading this book, Black Liturgies, which is excellent, highly recommend. So I'm also going to share a passage from here. I don't know if this video is going to be helpful for anyone. Honestly, I'm sort of making it for me because I can't afford a therapist right now. And this is my talk therapy. I'm just choosing to put it on the internet because I don't know anymore. Why not, But if you do find some comfort in it, then great. And I'm glad that I could provide that for you. So anyway, let's get to reading. So the first passage I'd like to share is John 14, verse 27. And it says, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid." Another verse from John 16:22. "So also you have sorrow now, but I will see you again, and your hearts will rejoice, and no one will take your joy from you." And finally, an excerpt from the book Black Liturgies. "It can feel foolish to pause to marvel at the stars when the world is burning, or to find the world beautiful when you've known it to betray you. But wonder is a liberation practice, a reminder that we contain more than tragedy. Beauty is our origin and our anchor." That's it from me. Sorry for this awkward, off-the-cuff therapy session. If you like it, let me know. Give me a thumbs up, write a comment, whatever. If you don't, please don't tell me I can't handle that kind of feedback in my current state. No, I'm just kidding. All feedback is welcome. Yeah, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!